Hello and welcome to Searching for Service, brought to you by District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Chad Larson.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
And we have the honor and privilege of yet again another special guest by the name of Jim Nelson. Welcome, Jim Nelson.
Thank
We're
you.
happy to have you. And our listeners are probably going, who the heck is Jim Nelson? And you're about to find out just who he is. So in this first section, we always like to get to know you. So, Jim.
But before we get to know Jim,
sorry,
we're gonna very quickly outline what the purpose and overview of what this show is all about. So we want to provide a radio show and a show that offers service opportunities for Rotarians and non-Rotarians alike. And how we do that is we interview amazing guests like Jim and really outline and show different types of service opportunities that are out there, and then why we believe Rotary is the best vehicle to do that.
And today, part of what we'll talk about is Jim's recent service trip to Honduras.
Right. You want to talk about a great segue, Chad.
But before we get into it,
You guys, I was just so excited to have Jim on, okay? And I'm still getting into the swing of things. And Joe just had to say something upstairs about doing a good job, and so, I was feeling really good. But
We call that upper limiting.
I was just going to say. Well, welcome again, Jim. And why don't you share with our listeners what it is that we need to know about you?
Well,
Oh my gosh.
okay.
part of the City of Lakes Club, former governor.
Yes, I am a member of City of Lakes Rotary Club. We meet at the Women's Club in downtown, or just on the edge of downtown Minneapolis.
What a great location.
It is a fabulous location.
I had a B&I chapter that met there in that location for several years. What an amazing building.
Yeah, and this time of the year it's particularly good. We have some social events up on the roof of the patio
Oh, nice.
upstairs, and you can see downtown.
Yeah.
And it's really gorgeous. I don't know if we're going to do that this summer because I don't know if we're going to have any warm weather.
When is summer going to get here?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Anyway, I've been a member of City Lakes Rotary since March of 1999, so it's 24 years. I got involved, like a lot of people, because somebody asked me to come to a meeting, and I
Got sucked right in.
got sucked right in. Before I joined Rotary, I have to say I knew a lot of lawyers, and I knew my clients, and I knew some neighbors and a few other people, but I didn't know nearly as many and as broad a cross section of our community as I did until I joined Rotary, and when I went to the first meeting, I saw people I knew from my business experience. I'm a lawyer. And I thought, well, this might be fun, and that was kind of what got me in. This might be fun, It's kind of sort of the networking aspect of it.
Yeah.
And but then I did get involved and got really interested in the service aspect of it. I became president of the club in 2009, and then became district governor in 2014-15.
Wow.
Rotary year. So.
It's so common to hear, like, people join Rotary for two reasons. They get in the door either professionally or, they're really inspired by service. It's in their DNA, their family, it's legacy, it's all of that type of thing. Or the youth exchange has always been a really big connector too.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And we have hosted 3 youth exchange students.
I was just going to ask you. I'm like, I don't want to jinx it, but have you done anything with youth exchange?
I've done plenty with youth exchange, and by virtue of being on the district governor and incoming district governor, I was also on the board of the North Star Youth Exchange for 3 years. So, yeah, I'm very familiar with that, and I think you're right. It's a multi-dimensional organization in the sense that service is, our motto is service above self, and that's a lot of what we do. But that's not all we do.
Right.
There's many service opportunities beyond Rotary. I mean, if that's all you want to do, you can do that, and a lot of you can pound nails for Habitat Humanity or what a wonderful organization. I'm not downplaying that at all, but you may know, as being Rotarians, that Rotary really has 5 core values that we've articulated. And service is one of them, but fellowship is another one, and that's why a lot of people join.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leadership is another one, and I got into leadership just because I was asked to do something, and I did it. And of course, integrity with our 4-way test, and diversity, which we struggle to really promote, particularly in our district.
And we've been continuing to get a lot better with it, I will say.
Yeah.
I mean, even in our club, just the new membership that we're bringing in is very reflective of our community, which is exciting to see as we are continuing to grow and put a focus on DEI. I think that's a really great thing.
That's right. And of course, if you go to an international convention around the world, and I've been to 10 of them, you see a lot of diversity.
Yeah.
I mean, people from all over the world, all colors, creeds, and so forth are represented there. And certainly all political views are represented there, too, in clubs. We try to leave the politics at the door because of that.
Yeah.
We just had Meg from the National Eagle Center, and she had a wonderful, inspiring quote. I think you wrote it down.
I
'cause
did.
I didn't get it.
She talked about how eagles are so inspiring because you can't fly without both the left wing and the right wing working together. I was like,
Yeah.
That's very
Like
good.
she's-
unbelievable.
She's going to bat for that, like the eagle becoming like the national bird, and like it's obviously the national symbol. But
Right.
Anyways,
Yeah.
anywho,
Yeah, that's
Come together, though.
yeah.
But back to you. Do you have I mean, obviously we're going to talk about the Guatemala trip.
Honduras.
Or Honduras. I'm sorry. We had Guatemala on a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago.
I heard Sutton's
Yeah.
discussion. Yeah.
But do you have a favorite service project that you've completed in your time?
Well, I would say that the Honduras is at the top of the list as far as international projects are concerned. As far as local projects, we've had a continuing relationship with Dunwoody, which is a wonderful school.
Yeah.
Really trains a lot of people in a lot of skill areas.
Yeah.
Skills that I certainly don't have. I was practiced law. That's because I didn't have any skills.
That's
and
not
so
true.
we've
You do too.
we've worked with the young people. They have a program where they bring disadvantaged high schoolers and show them the opportunities, because we talk about college, but there's a lot of ways to make a very respectable living.
Especially
than in
today.
college.
Yeah.
Especially today is right. Yeah, with the cost of college and so forth. So that's always been a favorite of mine. We do various things.
And that's an ongoing project that you do annually?
Yes.
Or is it?
Well, yes. Annually, we do mock interviews with the kids to kind of get them trained into how to deal with interviews and so forth. I think my favorite aspect of that was one of my first jobs in Rotary was as chair of the vocational services committee in our club, and that did involve Dunwoody. And one of the things they said they needed was a van to transport the kids, because a lot of these kids don't have. That's a transportation is a big issue to get them there in the summertime. And somebody said, well, maybe we could give them $5,000 or something to put toward it. And I said, wait a minute, why don't we think a little bigger about this? Let's see if we can get the club to come up with money. And we came up with enough money, and I had an automobile dealership client at the time, and I called them and said, here's what we want to do, and here's how much we got. Can you help us? We bought them the whole van and
Oh my goodness.
put the Rotary logo on the side of it. And I don't think it's operating anymore because this was 18, 19 years ago, but I think it operated for well over 10 years. And so that was, it was fun to go to Dunwoody and see that van outside.
Well, it probably paid for itself 100 times.
Multiple times,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
It's really amazing.
Yeah. And we work a lot at community emergency services food shelf over in South Minneapolis.
Oh, yeah.
I like that a lot too. I don't do it every month, but I do enjoy that.
And you guys do a monthly service project with them?
Correct. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, a monthly or I think it's every other monthly right now. But what we do is we get together on a Saturday and pack food for people who can't come to the food shelf, and then they deliver it on Monday.
Okay.
But in the meantime, they put on Monday, we pack it with the dry goods, and then they put fresh produce Monday.
Oh, sure.
And they take it out, I should say, out of a refrigerator that my club bought for the food shelf. And that makes a world of difference that they can deliver fresh produce and so forth to people and not just boxed.
Yeah, not the dry goods.
Things.
That's so cool. It's cool. It's really always nice to hear what other clubs are doing too within their community because the three of us are part of Edina Morningside, so we've got kind of a narrow vision of what we do in our community. So it's always nice to expand that. And
Every club is different too.
And we're excited to hear about Honduras. And in our next segment here, we're going to be going out in a second here, but we'll get into Honduras and how that project went.
As a reminder, you're listening to Searching for Service. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Chad Larson.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
Of the things we think, say, or do.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Join Rotary to serve your community and the world with honesty, fairness, and goodwill. Our 4-way test guides our actions every day. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? These values underpin our commitment to making a positive impact on the world. Learn more about your local Rotary Club and stop searching and start serving. And the song you're hearing now was performed by Rotary Club of Dar es Salaam, Oyster Bay.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship?
Rotary is a place for all community-minded people who want to serve their areas with the support of an international organization. Join Rotary to find service. Join Rotary to find inclusion. Join Rotary to find leadership. Join Rotary to find fun. Join Rotary to find friendship. Join Rotary to find a better version of the world. Find a Rotary Club near you at Rotary.org and click on Club Finder. There is a club out there for everyone. Find your fit with Rotary. Rotary.org.
Hello, and welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Chad Larson.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
As a reminder, you can find us on your favorite podcast platforms, and we love
5-star reviews, likes, shares.
comments, questions, concerns.
There's a ton of episodes on there, people. There's going to be something you're going to like.
If you are tuning in for the first time, we have on our show today Jim Nelson, and outside of him being just an amazing person, the real purpose of us having him on our show today is to talk about the Honduras trip that he just recently took and that the project, the service project within. Let's dive in.
All right.
How did that come to fruition? Let's start there.
Well, it goes back a ways. It goes back about 10 years, actually. There's a Rotarian by the name of Steve Solbreck, who is a member of the St. Louis Park Rotary Club. He was doing a water project over in Africa, and where was it? Uganda.
Okay.
And it was in partnership with a large non-governmental organization, or NGO, World Vision. And when he was there, he asked a World Vision person, he said, I'd like to get more people involved in international projects, but it's hard to get to Africa. Is there some need closer to home where we could do a project? And the answer came back, Honduras would be a great opportunity. And as we discussed before when it went on the air, it's only about a 5.5 hour flight. Plus
Yeah.
That's still like, I'm like, it's seriously only, what? Which is great.
Yeah, it is great, and we get on a plane here at about 5 o'clock in the morning if things go well, and get there at about noon. So we're there in time for lunch. And this time around, unfortunately, well, we can get into that later, I guess, but it wasn't quite that smooth. But in any event, so Steve, I was in line to become district governor, and Steve asked me if I wouldn't want to go down to Honduras with him and scope things out. And one of the keys of a major or large international project is you have to have a Rotary Club on the other end who's willing to participate with you. And so the purpose was twofold: to go into some of the communities where World Vision said they had some significant water issues, and then to meet with the Rotary Club of Santa Rosa de Copan and see if they would be on board with helping us with the project. And so we did that, and Steve wrote the grant, and that grant was completed in, I think it was 2016, and it was an $800,000 project. $400,000 in Rotary money and $400,000 match from World Vision.
I'm always
Holy
shocked by
cow.
the amount of money that can be raised, for the right causes and for
Yes.
like if you've got somebody at the helm that really knows how to push it too, and just how quickly that money turns into a lot of money.
Yes, yes,
And
and I
action.
can, and I will get to that in a little bit, yeah, because the numbers can be pretty dramatic. Anyway, very successful project. We went down there in 2016 and saw the results, and when we were there in 2013, there's one particular village where we were an example where we saw them. Their water source was these kids pulling water out of literally a hole in the ground where the water had just seeped in from the mountains up above down into this hole in the ground where there's wild animals and domestic animals feeding out of it and doing everything else that animals do.
Yeah.
And filthy water, and they'd come down at 5 o'clock in the morning and scoop it out into a bucket and take it back. It's a 45-minute to an hour process just to get water that was dirty, and then clean it probably just by boiling it. That was about it. And then to go back in 2016 and see a water tap right outside the home and see fresh water and the kids washing their hands in it and laughing, and it's just
Really incredible.
It's such a moving experience. Once you do that, it's kind of hard to let go of that.
Well, and what's always amazed me too is how water changes their life so much, specifically for women.
Yes.
Like we've had other people on, and just the statistics on how clean water impacts women, children, health, education.
Yeah.
Just it's everything. It's just so wild.
Yes, and you look at the Rotary. Probably somebody in one of your shows has talked about the 7 areas of focus of the Rotary Foundation, and the water spills out over all those areas:
Yeah.
economic development and education and health and so forth. It's really so dramatic.
So I mean, it's a wonderful gift that you guys were able to provide.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's a gift back to us to feel that. So in 2016, my club was looking around for a project, and one of our members said, "Well, can't we just do something where we don't really have to leave town?" And I said, "Wait a minute. This is the International Service Committee."
Yeah.
And you can do
That's-
things. You can pack food and send it someplace or something like that. But I said, let's shoot a little higher. I said, look at the program that Steve did. I've been down there 3 times already to see the results and to see what the need. Let's go for it. So in 2017, I and a group went to Honduras again and looked at some of the successful projects, looked at some of the need, which was still incredible in other communities. And I said, let's do the same thing. And World Vision was all in on it. The Rotary Club of Santa Rosa de Copan was so happy with the first results, and they were all in on it. So we came back, and I started raising money. And it took a while, but we did raise enough money. I won't go into all the details of how we did it.
But you did it.
But we did do
Yeah.
it. We did do it. And the project got started in 2019, and we were about ready to go to I don't know. There was a question. I'm kind of rambling maybe a little
no,
bit.
you're
but
okay.
No, you're not.
Wonderful.
No,
Okay.
you're not.
But we had something happen in 2020 that probably put a little bit
you
of
have it. Right. We had a flight scheduled for March 30th of 2020
gosh.
to go down and see the progress. And needless to say,
We're still waiting for that flight.
we put that one on the shelf, but the project went on. Although they had the same problems that
Sure.
we had, plus some additional problems. 2 hurricanes within 5 days of each other, Iota and Ida, which actually wrecked some of the infrastructure that we had built on this on the project. So we had to come up with a little more money, and we came up with another 4,000, and World Vision matched that, so we had another 8 to fix those. And then the main person in charge on the World Vision side died of COVID, unfortunately, in his 50s, and then they had a dengue fever outbreak, and just one thing after another, and then there was some political strife down there, and so we had to rearrange some of the project. But long and short of it is, we did finish, and we submitted a final report to the Rotary Foundation, and that was accepted in about April of last year. So that brings us to the new project that's starting. One of the participants in what I call our project, or my project, which is my club's, joined us from the Rotary Club of Sacramento, California, and he was so impressed. His club put in, I forget how much, $10,000 or $20,000 toward our project.
Oh my.
And he got Clayton Lee is this gentleman's name, and he was with us, and he got excited. He said, "We're going to do one." And then he asked us, "Would you help?"
Yeah.
And how can you say no?
Right.
Right.
So
when you've seen the impact.
yeah,
like,
exactly.
sure.
So we started raising money here in our district for that purpose, and I was able to raise. And here we get into some leverage discussion. I got clubs to contribute $32,500 toward this project. Then the district, with the district designated funds, or DDF. I always try to name the acronyms before I get into that. It's
a good call.
It's so
Yeah.
easy. It's so easy to get into that. Just gave us $30,000. Was it yesterday? Yeah. So we were thrilled with that. And then that $30,000 is then going to go to the Rotary Foundation, and if they approve the project, and we are certain that they're going to approve the project, 80% of that DDF will be matched. So that's another $24,000. So that means our district will have been responsible for $86,000 toward
It's the power of Rotary, and
Yeah.
we've just got a few seconds here in this segment, but just really quick, we've had a couple people on that have talked about the Rotary Foundation and the matching funds, and it's really nice to see it like a real tangible evidence of the power of all of that fundraising.
Right, and after the break, I get into the specifics of
Absolutely.
the leverage. Yeah.
All right, you're listening to Searching for Service. I'm Joe Kirk.
I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson. We'll be back.
For decades, eradicating polio worldwide has been Rotary's cornerstone cause. We are incredibly close to ridding the globe of this virus, but we need everyone's help to get us to the goal. World Polio Day is October 24th. Please consider making a new donation to Polio Plus or increasing your already generous giving. Go to endpolio.org to be a part of this historical eradication of polio. You will help get vaccinations to the most remote parts of our world and help fulfill a promise we made to end polio now. 2 drops and it stops.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build good? Will it better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? When we pay it forward, it will be returned.
Join Rotary to serve your community and the world with honesty, fairness, and goodwill. Our 4-way test guides our actions every day. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? These values underpin our commitment to making a positive impact on the world. Learn more about your local Rotary Club and stop searching and start serving. And the song you're hearing right now was performed by the Rotary Club of Saskatoon, Natuna in Canada.
When we pay it forward, it will be returned.
I can't see him from here. So.
Hello and welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950, 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Chad Larson.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
And as a reminder, we love
5-star reviews.
Like, comment, subscribe, share, do all the things, please.
and you can do all of that through all of the different podcast platforms.
However you listen.
Yep.
Yes.
Just searching for service.
I love that you add that in too.
Yeah, I was
It's
just
a
going to
nice
say,
little
good
add,
call.
so. But if you are tuning in for the first time, we have Jim Nelson. He is a Rotary member of the Minneapolis City of Lakes Club, also a former district governor. But we have him on here talking specifically about his most recent trip to Honduras. And so we had wrapped up our last section talking about the funding and how you actually phrase it, leveraging.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and just continue on that subject matter.
Yeah, okay. In this particular case, and this is not unusual for international grant projects, but I just brings to mind, I sent an email, when I sent an email to all our participating clubs the other day, I sent one to one club, which had given us $5,000, which we were thrilled about, of course. And I pointed out to him what that $5,000 amounts to. So we've got their basic $5,000 and essentially a DDF match of $5,000. That's a little bit difference, but so that's $10,000. Then to that $5,000 that is matched, Rotary. The Rotary Foundation in Evanston will give 80% a match of that. So that's another $4,000. So now we're talking about
15.
We'll just call it 15 for round numbers.
well, but it's actually 14 plus it's 24,000.
24,000.
At this level.
Yeah.
And then World Vision is matching that dollar for dollar.
So it just shows you there's no small donation to Rotary.
No, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
We've had donations to this project from $500 to $10,000.
Yeah.
It's truly incredible.
So it really is, and that's very typical. That kind of a 5.5, 6 times leverage for your local club funds.
Well, and just think about the amount of things that you can do with that extra funds, and how it gaps probably some of the things that come up like weather.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. And although this is submitted to Rotary International as a $400 or an $800,000 project, 400 Rotary, 400 World Vision, I think we're going to end up raising considerably more than our 400. And World Vision says, whatever you raise, we're going to do it.
How cool is that? Like, I think that's the cool part is like the more successful you are, there's just more, like it's just a more thing. Like you keep doing more, we got you.
That's right.
And then we can help more people get some clean water.
That's
so
right.
Why don't we go into the project itself? So why don't you walk us through a little bit about how many days were you down there? A week, 10 days?
We were down there from Monday to just until Saturday.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. We were going to do it Monday to Friday, but we lost Monday because our flight was canceled. At 4 a.m, our flight to Atlanta was canceled, so we couldn't get our connecting flight to San Pedro Sula, which is the airport in Honduras where we fly to. So,
well, luckily you're only 5 hours away.
We're only 5 hours away, but it took us 16 hours to get there.
That's a long day.
So walk us through when you got there. So did you meet immediately with the Rotary Club?
We had to stay in San Pedro because things are kind of dicey out in the country at night, so we weren't able to travel to Santa Rosa, which is our base and where our partner Rotary Club is. So we stayed overnight, and then we we took a drive to the first community we went to, which is a community by the name of Santa Teresa, which was helped by the just completed project.
Yeah.
So that's about we were up at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's about a 6-hour drive, even though it's about 100 miles. The roads are not very good down there. So, and it's up in the mountains and so forth. So for part of that time. That's probably the first day in about 5 years that I never had a cup of coffee all day, by the way.
Oh man,
Oh my goodness.
headache at about 11:30 in the morning.
I didn't have that problem. I was surprised, actually. But any event, so we got there, and they had already had a meeting that morning, so we missed some of that morning. But we heard from them, and I have the notes on that conversations that they had. The format is to meet with the community and talk to them, either about what their need is or about what clean water has meant to them. And as we talked earlier, clean water is just so important.
It's a trickle effect.
Yeah, and we go down there. Every place we go, we're told before the water came, the kids were drinking contaminated water, and they all had diarrhea problems.
Yeah.
Okay, what does that do? It means malnourishment.
Yep.
It means you're not going to school.
Yep.
All those things.
Just
And-
the systematic
Yeah.
impact.
Right.
You know, and one of my favorite things, and we've talked about this in the past too, is how we solicit through Rotary the need in the community versus going, hey, we're going to do this project and we're just going to dump it on you and hopefully it works.
Right.
Is that we do a lot of the outreach to make sure that need is actually serviced correctly
That's
and
right.
sustainable.
That's
so
right.
I liked hearing about that.
That's a key thing that the Rotary Foundation, when they're going to review projects, is have you done the community assessment? Have you sat down with the community and asked them what they need? Mm-hmm. And it's pretty easy in the case of these villages, they need water.
Well, and specifically in this village, like what was the mechanism that you guys created for them? Like, what was the project?
Yeah. Honduras, in that part of Honduras, they have plenty of water. It's just not clean.
Yeah.
And it's not treated and so forth. And there's water, there's various watersheds, and the water is very clean up at the top of the mountains. And so the idea is to bring the water down into the community, so we're not drilling wells. What we're doing is using gravity-fed systems. So we're laying PVC piping underground.
Yep.
So you have to dig a trench all the way, and guess who's digging the trench? The community members are digging the trench, not Rotarians. The community members are committed to this. They are partners. This is really important.
How cool is that?
They are so committed to this. In the first project, I was told there was a bunch of communities involved, and they dug 80 miles of trenches, and we saw them digging. They were digging with picks and shovels. They weren't.
It's not like
How
they
long
had.
did it
real-
take
No,
them to do that?
it's unbelievable. I mean, and particularly the men agreed that they're going to every 9 days they're going to take a day off from whatever else they're doing and dig.
Listen to that Met Council while you're doing the light rail.
Oh my gosh.
Let's not get into that. So we're bringing the water down in PV by virtue of gravity.
Yeah.
And then in this particular one, Santa Teresa, into a reservoir, a big tank, 40,000 gallon tank, and that fills up, and then from there the water is distributed to the individual homes. That's the idea.
Unbelievable. It seems very sustainable too, right? Like not a lot of moving parts and things that can break. You're just bringing water from one location down to another.
But there are some treatments that go on. They treat it with chlorine when it gets down into. And the other part of the sustainable part of it is the community members are trained in maintaining the system.
So it's sustainable.
And World Vision, another part of the sustainability. Certainly, one part is just the fact that the community is involved so deeply.
Yeah.
And they set up water boards with the help of World Vision to monitor and administer things, to collect a small fee. It might be only $20 a year from each household to build up a reserve so that they can make whatever repairs have to be made.
Well, and I'm sure once they see the product there, it's a simple sell. I mean, they see how it changed their life. They're like,
Yeah, they're sold
No,
on it.
thank
They're
you to
Yeah,
clean
yeah.
water.
We're
No,
definitely gonna
thank
keep
you.
this
I
going.
know, I can't even imagine.
Right, they're sold. In
Everyone's
the
on
one
board.
community, it might have been Santa Teresa. We were told that World Vision kind of administers this, and they basically told them we have to have 90% of your adults trained in some aspect of this, or we're not going to do it. If the community is not interested, we're not interested.
Yeah.
Right.
So they had 100%. Every single adult in the community was trained in some way. It's just incredible.
It really
So
is.
in Santa Teresa, we stood outside. We have pictures. I think there might be a picture showing.
Yeah, the pictures are going on the Facebook feed.
There's a picture of us with the community people in front of the tank with the Rotary logo and the World Vision logo.
Very
Just
nice.
and
world
we-
changing for them. I mean,
Absolutely.
seriously, it's just completely world changing. That's the part that I just can't ever get over is,
Yep.
you know, we take for granted everything that we have, and you know, bringing this fresh water that is clean.
Yeah.
So that the kids can drink it, everybody can drink it, and you have this community buy-in around a very simple concept,
Yep.
and it galvanizes everybody.
How big is the community?
No, you're asking me a question I can't
That's
answer. But
okay.
they're pretty small. They're pretty small communities. We had the one community that we're going to benefit from the next project had only 12 families.
But it's still.
But this was bigger. This was bigger.
Well, you're listening to Searching for Service. I'm Joe Kirk.
I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
For decades, eradicating polio worldwide has been Rotary's cornerstone cause. We are incredibly close to ridding the globe of this virus, but we need everyone's help to get us to the goal. World Polio Day is October 24th. Please consider making a new donation to Polio Plus or increasing your already generous giving. Go to endpolio.org to be a part of this historical eradication of polio. You will help get vaccinations to the most remote parts of our world and help fulfill a promise we made to end polio now. 2 drops and it stops.
Rotary is a place for all community-minded people who want to serve their areas with the support of an international organization. Join Rotary to find service. Join Rotary to find inclusion. Join Rotary to find leadership. Join Rotary to find fun. Join Rotary to find friendship. Join Rotary to find a better version of the world. Find a Rotary Club near you at Rotary.org and click on Club Finder. There is a club out there for everyone. Find your fit with Rotary. Rotary.org.
Hello and welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Chad Larson.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
As a reminder, you can find us on your favorite podcast platforms, and we do love
Likes, shares.
5-star reviews. Searching for Service.
Look at you. I love it. That's really wonderful. If you're tuning in for the first time, we have Jim Nelson. He is a part of the Minneapolis City of Lakes Rotary. He's also a former district governor. More importantly, we have him on here recapping his most recent Honduras trip that was offered through the Rotary. And so in our last segment, we were talking about the project itself. And so we're going to just continue rolling off of that. And why don't we just pick up where we left off, Jim?
Yeah, my final thought on the Santa Teresa site with the 40,000 gallon tank. As we stood there, there's a pipe coming off the bottom of it, and there's water just rushing out. And one of the people said, "Why is this water coming out here instead of going to the homes?" And they said that because our tank is full and there's excess water right now.
Yeah.
And so then the question was that water going to waste? And one of the community members said, "Look down there," and there were the crops down there. They use it for irrigation,
Oh,
the
wow.
excess
Oh,
water.
okay.
And we were
So
in
smart.
communities where they can't sell their crops because the water is so contaminated. They're using
Yeah.
contaminated water
Yeah.
to water their crops.
Yeah, bad in, bad out, right?
Bad in, bad out. Yep, that's exactly right. So then that afternoon we went to a different community, El Carousel, I think it was called, and they had water, but the water, especially in certain times of the year, was actually muddy.
Too much sediment.
Yeah, and so they didn't need a tank. They needed a water filtration system, and so they built an open air system where it comes down and goes through some sort of gravel or something at the bottom. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know exactly.
It's a
how it works.
filter.
It's a filter of some sort, and it's outdoors, and the sun helps too, and so that gave them clean water that they need.
Bad in, good out.
Exactly right. Yeah, and the people were so appreciative of that.
It's so interesting to hear the difference in need too.
Yeah,
as you're
community
going,
by community.
as you're going. I mean, even within Honduras, which isn't a huge country by any stretch
Right.
of the imagination, and just geographically within, how many hours were the two towns?
Communities?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember how long it took.
Probably
'cause
felt
I
like
think we
one.
made it. We stopped someplace for lunch, but it was probably a couple hours. And you don't get very far going a couple hours up in the mountains of Honduras.
Sure.
I mean, sometimes you're on roads that you can't even believe are roads.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, but they weren't that far apart.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the need was completely different.
Need was different. Every community has a different sort of micro watershed and so forth. So
How many total communities did you guys visit?
This time around, I think we only visited 6 maybe communities.
Only 6.
Well, over 3 days.
Yeah.
And so the next day we were in communities that still needed help. And we went to 3 that were fairly close together. They were up one mountain. When we all said and done, we were up about 7,000 feet, so we're
Yeah.
up a long ways. The last community had only 12 families living there.
Yeah.
So the government was not interested. The government doesn't have any money anyway, and they weren't interested in helping 12 families.
I bet.
They said they had 19 families, but the hurricane knocked out 7 homes, and they said the people migrated to the United States. I assume illegally, but that's
Yeah.
you know
Yeah,
that
that's what's
Honduras
happening.
has been in the news about that a lot. And so, I mean, they had the same problems. The proposal there is to build a very small reservoir, 2,500
Yeah,
Sure.
less
gallons,
people,
with
less
that,
need.
enough for their use and for some future use as well. And on all these 3 communities, the message was the same, and particularly with the women. We can't keep our kids clean. We can't keep ourselves clean. Sometimes we'll be without water for 8 to 10 days. 8 to 10 days without
That is
water. What do you do? What do
unbelievable.
you do? Well, first of all, we store some water because we're anticipating that we're going to be without water.
Just a drink, I'm sure.
And then, and then if we're out of water, we'll go to a neighbor's because they may have more pressure because they're lower down. There might be enough pressure to get water to them, so we'll borrow from them. Or we'll go to the creek. There's a creek nearby, or there's a river several kilometers away that some people go to get water or wash their clothes. It's a day-to-day struggle.
Yeah.
You know, and one thing I haven't mentioned that I should throw in, this is what's called a WASH project, and WASH stands for Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene Education. All those, they go together. We've been to communities that have no sanitation facilities at all. People are defecating in the woods.
Yeah.
Think of that. In the 2020s.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the mayor of that little community said, the worst thing about this is, he was speaking Spanish, so it was being translated. He said, the worst thing about it is we have no dignity.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So that's a part of it. And the hygiene education is primarily in the schools, teaching kids about the importance of washing your hands and keeping clean. They take that back to their parents. They train their parents,
Yeah.
basically. We were in one community, I should add as a little side note, that previously the kids had all been told, don't wash your hands, it wastes water.
Waste water.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
Yeah. That. I mean, it totally makes
Yeah,
sense.
it
Yeah,
does
it
make
does.
sense.
I hadn't thought of it, but it does
Yeah.
totally make sense. Yeah. So
We need to stay alive, and so don't
Yeah.
don't wash your
right,
hands.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, and it's so great that you guys have been able to at least address and hear the needs of those individual communities, and then be able to tailor a projects that will be sustainable in all of these communities, from 12 households all the way up to, I don't know what the largest one was,
I'm not sure either, but it was quite a
Quite a few.
Yeah.
but the scalability is really interesting and how we've
Right.
talked about it. So
Yeah.
I mean, thank you so much for that group that went down there, and you know,
How many total people were on the trip?
We had from the U.S., I believe it was 8. And, you know, one of the exciting things about this is we have gotten the attention of Rotary International, and their director of water projects worldwide accompanied us on this trip.
oh, that's great.
And she saw what was going on, and I think I can say that she was very impressed and saying we need to do more projects of this scale. You know, a lot of people do small projects, and there's nothing wrong with small projects, but if you can get the money together and do a project like this,
You change a lot of lives.
you change an awful lot of lives. Yeah.
Well,
One
I
of the
feel
thi-
like, sorry,
Go
I was
ahead.
just going to say on the heels of that, I think that that's a kind of a good segue for us to talk about what you've been hearing about the envisioning of what these next trips could look like for Honduras, or what
impact.
capacity we could help impact for Honduras.
Yeah, I think that I think it would be fair to say that Rotary International is interested in doing these large projects, and I know that Clayton, who I mentioned from the Rotary Club of Sacramento, he and his group are saying, you know, we should be able to bring clean water to the entire country of Honduras.
I love that
And
goal.
that's sort of the end. That's sort of the end game. And I know that World Vision and Rotary also is involved in large scale looking at the situation in Haiti, which is
Yeah.
the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. Honduras is second poorest. So, it's the large scale things is what is really driving a lot of people's passion at this point.
Incredible stuff. Like, it's so inspiring.
Yeah.
It really is. I'm certainly excited to. I haven't had a chance to take a peek at the pictures, but our listeners and anybody who's tuning in live right now is having the opportunity to see those wonderful photos.
Yeah,
So.
we got lots more if anybody wants to see them too.
Are they
for
up
sure.
on your guys' Facebook page or website?
Not yet.
I'll find them. I'll
kind
find them and post them.
Yeah. I'd
Chad's
love
on
to do
it.
that. I'd love to do that.
Jim,
yeah.
with our last little bit here, take about 45 seconds. Last thoughts about the project, about, you know, just what you want listeners to know about it, maybe how they can get involved.
Well, how they can get involved is certainly they could, through if they're Rotarians, they can certainly get their clubs involved. We've got 8 clubs in the district on this project contributing funds. So we've got some clubs that hopefully are getting excited. I sent them a long email the other day and telling them about the leverage and about what we saw down there. And you could contact Rotary5950Jim@gmail.com, which is my email address, and I'd be happy to connect them with another Rotary club or connect them with my club to talk about it.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Jim. Thank you for being on the show and sharing your wonderful experience. I'm Joe Kirk.
I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Chad Larson.
As a reminder, you're listening to Searching for Service. It's time to stop searching
And start serving.
And join a Rotary right now.